Okay. Okay, guys. So thanks for jumping in on the call. I'm going to go through a couple things on here, but I did want to answer Jasmine's question about the tuition, because I think this is something that, in terms of like the amount. So the TNTP total tuition that you're going to be paying is $7,000, right? 2,000 of that is for PST. 5,000 is for TNTP Academy. You can't charge, the most you can charge is the 5,000 because you have been an employee. You weren't an employee during PST. So you get tuition back for the 5,000 because you're an employee now and you're in this class. And so we can submit classroom stuff that's dated after your hire date. So that's how you're able to get up to the 5,000 back. So no one is going to be able to get the 100% back. It all depends on your grouping, years in service, and your degree. So of that $5,000, if you have your bachelor's degree only, you can get up to 75% of that 5,000 back. So if you submitted your master's in teaching or your master's, which means you got a pay grade upgrade, then their rationale is that you're making more, you can pay more. So they're only going to give you 50% of that. The reason on the sheet that I have you do the 25, it's because it's split up into 2 times a year. So you're going to do one in the fall, one in the spring. So the 2,500 for the fall now, and the 2,500 for the spring equals the 5,000.
Well, if I have a master's, I'll only get $1,250.
So for your first one, if you're master's, you'll get $1,250 in the fall, and you'll get another $1,250 after spring, which will total to half, which is 2,500 of the 5,000.
Gotcha. Okay, that's all. I got.
Yeah. So I know it's a little confusing, but that's how the breakdown goes for the payment of that. So does that make sense to everyone?
Yes, I was just missing that part where the 2,000 for PST and the 5,000 is for while we're employees.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing that I think that was missing for people, is that it is a benefit to you as being part of the city schools. We're giving you the added benefit of kind of guiding you through it because it's kind of a mess. But so we want to make sure that you get it. So although we don't administer it, we know it pretty well, and so we can guide you through it. And hopefully, we have like 2 weeks before the due date. And if you have any other questions as you're doing it, you can let me know. And then I also help monitor where they're at. If it gets to February or March and you haven't gotten it yet, I can help with that. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And just one last thing. So
sure.
I know you said, the earliest I would get that first one, because we're doing October 1st, but we really won't see the money till like February is the earliest, right?
February is the earliest. It'll probably be into February, March. So what they do is they want to make sure you complete the semester before you get the money. So like they're in traditional sense, like that first semester of school will be done in February. And so then they're like, what they do with us is like, they check in with us and say, hey, who is in good standing with the program? I say X, Y, and Z, Elise, Jasmine, all these people are in. They're in good standing. They've got their paperwork in. They've got their TNTP Academy stuff together. They're on track for their tuition. Good to go. And then they'll release those funds. So the earliest could be February. Sometimes it takes to March. It comes in your payroll, your payment check for. So and sometime in February and March, it will show up as an extra payment in your pay stub. And so you just have to know like that extra $1,250 or $1,875 is your payment. They're not gonna announce it. They're just gonna throw it in there. If you haven't gotten it by March, let me know and I can follow up with you on where it is in the process. But sometimes it's really quick. Sometimes it takes a few weeks. The second payment will be for the spring. So in January, I'll do the same thing. I'll send you all the information to log on to give you an example of what the spring example looks like, and you'll do the same thing, same amounts and all that stuff. The earliest that second check will come is at the end of July, your last paycheck in July. They try to get it in for your last paycheck in July of the school year so they can close out the year. If they don't do that, then it won't be until your first paycheck of the next school year. So most of you won't be until August, September of next year. Yeah. So what I'll try to do is like before PST starts with the second year is try to get everyone closed out and push it through. But the most I can do is just give them the information and they have to act on it. Some years they act pretty quick on it and you have it in July. So my goal is to have all the information like they've completed, because you'll complete TNTP Academy in April. So it'll be plenty of time. And as long as you're still contracted to teach, then you should be good to go.
Okay. And I'm just assuming on employee self-service, because like you said, they won't tell us, but I'm sure there'll be a section in employee self-service on your pay stub that'll say like tuition reimbursement.
Yeah, it should say that. I don't know exactly because I've never seen the pay stuff myself. But people do know like from cohorts past, they're like, oh, I got this extra money in my thing. This must be a tuition reimbursement. They never explicitly said like, hey, it says X, Y, and Z. But it does come and you'll know what that is either by the amount or the line item. I'm sure there's a line item.
Yeah, the pay stub we got today had a line item of summer payments of $500 for the NTSI. So that's probably the same kind of thing.
Yeah, they'll probably do the same thing. Cool.
Just a general question you might not be able to answer. The last 20 years, my world has been independent schools, and the 10-month employees, and I've been a 12-month employee most of the time, but 10-month employees had the option of spreading their paychecks out through the summer. I'm assuming that the school district doesn't allow you that option.
Well, they do after your first year.
Right.
So one of the things that residents have done in the past is work with a credit union. And so what they do is credit union for teachers, they'll kind of simulate that. So if your paycheck goes automatically through that, they'll skim the top off. And then in July and August, they'll start paying you from the accounts. So it's not great, but a lot of people have done that just so that they can manage their year a little bit better. Or people just like, hey, I'm just going to work during the summer somewhere else and then back. It's up to you, but that is an option. Great. I am going to go through, I know you guys have had a little bit of time to look at the stuff that I sent. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Can everybody see? Yep, good. All right. So the link I gave you will bring you to this website that I have on the left here. And the first phase, you just click the other part. There's another part to this on the other side. This is phase 2. Don't worry about that. You're just going to worry about clicking this reimbursement application phase. As you see, the date is October 1st. We're not going to do winter. The next one we'll do will be the spring semester one. So once you open that, this brings you to this sheet here. So this is the first year that they're doing online. It used to be that you have to do a paper one, get it notarized, and bring it back to human capital. It used to be really intricate, and you had to be done in a certain way. This is a little bit easier, which is great. So on the side is the sample I gave you. So the first parts are really pretty easy. You're going to put your first, last name. You're going to put your employee ID. Most of you should have gotten that already. That's going to be important. And also, in order to get to this, you have to be logged into online onto your Baltimore City Teaching email, or it's not going to let you into this. Once you are in, you have to, again, put your email. This is how they're going to track it. You used to have to get your principal to sign this form. This is going to be their way of like knowing that you're an employee, and then they'll confirm with your principal with this email. So that's why that is super important. And then your affiliation is going to be BTU, the union. Even if you're not a part of the union, you're still going to pick this because they still cover you for other instances. So if you had a dispute, they'll still work on your behalf, even if you're not an official union member. But for everyone in BCTR, they're going to click that. Current level of education, you're going to click here. Be sure to make sure that you click whatever that we submitted for your transcripts here. I think they're going to go back to your original transcripts, but just in case they just follow this, you want to make sure, like if you have a bachelor's, you can make sure that it's bachelor's because it does affect your funds. Okay, next one. Here you're going to click, you're completing coursework for renewal professional certificate. It's not a renewal, but they said for you to just pick that one as your, it closely matches what you're doing. You are working towards certification, and that's what your coursework is going to be for. You're going for fall 2020. And you're going to put no that you are participating in direct billing with city school. Basically, direct billing is like the school charges city schools for your tuition. 9, obviously you're going to pick BCTR. These are just all the alternative certs in the city. So us, urban teachers, and Teach for America. So we are BCTR. College type, you're going to be non-traditional. Oops. Okay, so you're just going to put TNTP as the school. And coursework is just BCTR coursework 1 or I. And then you're going to put course, just NA, not applicable, and then 6 credits. Here's what we talked about, how much tuition for the course. Total, you can charge up to $5,000 for the year for the coursework for TNTP, because that is the work that you're going to be doing while you're in school. The 2,000 above that makes the full 7,000 is for PST. So they won't reimburse you for that because it was before you were an employee. But they will reimburse you for the up to the 5,000 for the school year. So because they do it in 2 semesters, they split it in half. 250 is the max for fall. I mean, 2,500 is the max for the fall. 2,500 is the max for spring, which totals 5,000. Just a note that if you're on your bachelor's, they will reimburse you 75% of that 2,500. If you're on your master's, they will reimburse you 50% of that 25. So the reason the master's is lower, they are figuring we're paying you more, you can probably afford more, and that's how they've decided to reimburse. On the form, there's a bunch of other course stuff that's not required. Just leave all of that blank and move on to the next one. So the last page on the form is talking about the union affiliation. You already clicked that you were union affiliate, the BTU, Baltimore's Teachers Union. You will need to do what's called a promissory note. So you can download that promissory note with this link. It is a PDF that you type into. It will look like this. You'll type in your name at the top, type in the amount. For you guys, it's going to be $2,500 for the fall, and then the school year 2020 to 2021. And then at the end, you're just going to print your name, sign, employee ID, date, and address at the end. And so with this, you'll be able to type right into the PDF for this. Once you've done that, just print. If you print, most computers can print to PDF. You just print it to PDF, save it on your desktop or something like that, and then go back to the application for field 29. This is where you'll upload what you did for the promissory note. Once you've done that, if you have any questions, you can put it there. They'll answer. But other than that, I would definitely send me a receipt to yourself so that you know that you put it in. And it helps me if I need to go back into human capital and look for you. If you say, Sean, I haven't gotten this thing, the first thing I'm going to ask you is for your ID and for your receipt. They used to give you a physical receipt. This is going to be an email receipt. So the receipt may or may not have your employee ID in it, but that's what I will need to kind of go back to them and say, hey, they did this on this date and this is their ID. And then I can help you dig through it. But so that's going to be important. So make sure you do click that and then hit submit. And you're done. I'm not going to submit this because I'm not an employee, but I will stop it there. A couple more things if I didn't say it at the top. You will, I'm going to stop sharing real quick. And then Jasmine, I'll get to your question in a second. You will likely get the funds from this late February, early March, after the semester ends in February. In January, I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the fall one and send you all the spring information. You'll do the exact same thing, just with a few different changes in wording. And you'll get that check the earliest, your last paycheck in July, or at the latest, your first paycheck in August, September. And that's basically it, guys. Jasmine, what was your question?
I thought I read this somewhere, but now I couldn't find it. If we do the tuition reimbursement, we have to stay for 3 years, right?
So they want everyone to stay for 3 years, right? So this is where things get a little tricky. Like, officially, you're supposed to be in city schools for 3 years. It's called what's tenured. You're a tenured teacher. After 3 years, you can go wherever you want. You don't have to stay at your school. The reality is you guys are going to be certified to teach anywhere in the state of Maryland after 2 years, right? And so I'm going to stop recording this real quick. Actually, no, I am going to record this. So you're able to teach anywhere in the state of Maryland. It is up to you what you do with that. If you leave city schools, I don't believe that they're going to want that money back necessarily. But they will, they'll say that you can't teach in Baltimore City anymore, or I don't know what they would say. They won't be super happy about it, but at the same time, you're kind of, open after your second year to teach outside of Baltimore if you choose to do so. We want you to stay in Baltimore. City schools want you to stay in Baltimore. Our goal is for you. Their goal is because they're putting some money behind you staying, and this is one of their ways of retaining teachers that they've trained, and that's why they partner with us to not only train you guys, but for hopefully that you will stay in the city. But so that's just a roundabout way of saying, yeah, they require it, but you have some options after your second year.
Okay, because I was just thinking in case if I get a master's degree and I want to be a full-time master's student instead of part-time, just to kind of get it over with.
Yeah.
But oh shoot, I forgot my question. Okay.
No, but yeah. So yeah, the 2 years is when you get the certification. They do want you for 3 years to be tenured. The tenured, not only can you'll be fully integrated in school, like you can also move to a school. So like if you want, there's another position that opens up at another school, you can apply for it without being denied because you don't have the tenure. Like you still have to apply it and be accepted for the position. But if another principal wants you, they can freely hire you at that point.
I got a question.
Sure.
So you said that the course information, what do we put there in slots 11 and 12?
Yeah, 11, 12. Let me share my screen again. I'll go back to that. So 11 and 12, I'm going to go back here. So on the sample I gave you, you're going to put for 11 TNTP. You're going to put for 12 BCTR coursework 1 or I, Roman numeral 1. And then first course, you're just going to put not applicable, NA. And then from there, 14, you're going to put 6 credits, and then your tuition course for the semester is $2,500. That help, Crystal?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. And then 16 to 27, you're going to leave blank.
And I'll be honest, I had a question in the chat. That was my question too. We only have coursework for TNTP Academy the first year.
Yeah, just the first year. Yeah, so you'll be completed TNTP coursework by April. And so we will compile all your information and try to get it in before the end of the school year so that hopefully you can get that last payment at the end of July, so that they'll have everything that they need for that. See, I look at something in the chat. Yeah, no TNTP coursework the second year. Question 2. Crystal, was that question 2 on the form?
Yes, I got a confused with question 2. It really was the questions that you just cleared
Oh,
up.
great. Excellent. Any more questions about the tuition reimbursement, the form, the promissory note, or just how the tuition reimbursement works?
Yes, I have. Since I came in late, I'm so sorry. I had a meeting, like a staff meeting. I guess, like, can you like summarize everything
Yeah,
that I
sure.
missed? Okay.
So basically, a couple of the highlights that I did at the top, and I'm also going to make this video available probably Monday. So a couple of things. One is that the tuition reimbursement is only for $5,000, which is the TNTP Academy portion of your training. It does not cover PST, which was $2,000.
Okay.
So you will have 2 times that you put in tuition reimbursement now, which is the fall, which is due before October, and 1 for the spring, which is due in February.
Okay.
So that's why it's split up into $2,500 now, and it'll be $2,500 next for the fall. Spring.
Okay.
City schools will reimburse you for 75% of that $2,500 if you are on your bachelor's degree. If you're on your master's, only reimburse you 50%. So if you're in your bachelor's degree, you will get a amount in your paycheck sometime at the end of February or beginning of March that will be $1,875. If you're in your master's, it'll be $1,250.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have to does your master's have to be in progress, or if you already have it, does it still apply to you?
No, if you've given us your master's degree to put in for a pay increase with city schools, then they consider you as a master's candidate, and they will pay you the 50%. If you're in process, we haven't turned them in. We haven't told them that you're a master's student. We only give them the conferred master's degree. And the reason we do that is because there's a pay increase involved when we do that before you start your employment.
Okay. So if you already have it, you can still apply for the tuition reimbursement. Like, it's already been conferred, you can still apply for the tuition reimbursement for 50%. 50%?
Yeah. So if
You
you
don't
have
have to be enrolled in school. That's what
no,
I'm
no,
saying.
no. No, because you're
Okay.
enrolled, what you're getting reimbursed for is being enrolled in TNTP Academy with us through BCTR. So the
Okay.
tuition, they are validating that the tuition that you're paying for your coursework this year through TNTP Academy is going to be reimbursable.
Okay.
They'll only reimburse 50% for master's, 75% for bachelor's degree.
Okay. That makes sense. I don't have any other questions. That was really the only like pressing question that I had.
Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, if you have questions about the form, let me know. This year, like I said at the top, this year is a lot easier. It used to be a paper form that you had to get your principal to sign and then get notarized at a notary. Human Capital used to have a notary that you would come and do, and then you have to have it physically put in and get a receipt. This way, you actually can do it online. You don't have to go anywhere. And then like all the other documentation that you will need, like the coursework documentation that they're asking for, transcript stuff, we provide all that stuff. You just have to get it in. At the end of the form, make sure that you put send an email receipt in the response, because you'll want to keep that. If there's any issue with the reimbursement, it is the only way that I have some leverage to kind of talk to human capital is with your receipt and employee ID. That way they can track it down and I can say, this is their receipt. They did it on this day, and kind of help follow up for you in the office. Cool. All right, guys. I hope your first couple of weeks of school have been great. Teaching in a pandemic is crazy, but glad you guys are still here.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend, and
You
we'll talk
too.
soon. Let me know if you have any questions.
Sean, can I ask you a question about another email you sent?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to stop recording.
Great, yep.